So, hello everyone. Today is Wednesday, November 10th, 2021. Welcome to the November NEBBA meeting, and I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Peter Goodman. I'm the NEBBA president, and my company is Goodman & Company Business Brokers, and we're located in Sudbury, Massachusetts. And just a couple of quick updates here. First of all, I was just at the IBBA conference a couple of weeks ago, and it was a really good conference. In spite of COVID, I think they had about 400 attendees. I brought back a special gift from the IBBA. It's called COVID. That's right. I got COVID at the conference. But it was just like, I thought I had a cold and then I couldn't taste anything. So it was just a bit of a nuisance. I almost gave it to George Jensen. At least I did my best to give it to him, but I don't know. He apparently did not contract it. So anyway, it was a really good conference, and it's nice to see people face to face again in person, and we'll be talking about that in a minute for NEBBA. And a quick shout out for the award winners for NEBBA. Unfortunately, I don't have a nice list, but I think Brian Labonte, I thought he was on this call. Do I see him right here now? I don't know if I see him. Oh, there he is, Brian Labonte. He got a Chairman's Circle Award. Congratulations, Brian.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and I also got Chairman's Circle Award.
Congrats.
Okay, and then and I think Aaron Fox got a Chairman's Circle Award. He may have gotten something else too, I think. And
he got a Dealmaker Award too.
Oh, okay, good. Dealmaker Award. Who else got an award that's here or knows of someone else in NEBBA?
Justin got it.
Justin Grawley, okay.
Yeah, I did. I forget which category.
Okay, but
you got Chairman's Circle. Justin and Kevin.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anyone else?
Paul got outstanding what is it?
Yes, sir.
Paul Corrigan?
Yeah, Paul Corrigan and myself got outstanding.
Congratulations, Paul.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Okay, and by the way, also I want to just mention too that a member of NEBBA who I haven't seen lately on the call on our monthly Zooms, but he is a member, and his name is Jeff Swigert. His company, I think it's VR Brokers or something like that, or I forget exactly. He's in Connecticut, and he's going to be the upcoming M&A Source chairman, I just read. So who knows? We're going to try to get him on one of the webinars in the future, and he can talk to us about M&A Source maybe. If you don't know what M&A Source is, that's the sort of sister organization that's part of the same umbrella corporation that the IBBA is in, okay? And the IBBA sort of has like one more vote on the board of what's called the IABI, I'm pretty sure it's called. And like I said, so under the IABI is the IBBA and M&A Source. So it's two organizations in one. We're the sort of Main Street business brokers, M&A Source is the mid-market brokers, if you don't already know all that. Okay, moving along, let's see. So today is another in a series of 12 monthly meetings we annually provide to our membership. And now we're talking about next year's schedule and when to begin in-person meetings. So you can expect soon an email that will have a poll where you can tell us what your thoughts are about in-person meetings. But if I were to take an informal show of hands, who's ready to go to in-person meetings at the DoubleTree in Westboro? Raise your hand if you would go to an in-person meeting. Okay, so that's looks like just about everyone, right? Okay, that's good to see. All right, so but we'll have a formal poll going out soon. Who knows? Maybe we'll have the January meeting in person. Don't know yet. Okay, and okay, next, let's see. Okay, the other thing I just want to talk to you about quickly, and we'll be having a meeting on this coming up soon. And this is what's going to be known as, are you ready? NEBBA Plus. And NEBBA Plus is basically going to be the co-brokerage organization in New England, and it's going to replace BBAIN. And some of you are BBAIN members, so you're part of that multiple listing group that we have in New England. But we're going to make it part of NEBBA, and it's going to be sort of a different NEBBA membership. In other words, it's going to be a higher membership. It's going to have the same monthly cost that BBAIN has, but it's going to be part of NEBBA. And so if you're a NEBBA Plus member of NEBBA, you'll be paying more, but you'll have privileges in the co-brokerage activities of our organization. And we hope that one day all of our brokers will aspire to be part of this new level of membership. But for now, for sure, it's just going to be optional. And you'll be seeing a lot more about that in the coming weeks and months. And I hope that everyone will want to join us and become co-brokers. Some states in this country, especially Florida, everyone co-brokes. Just like in real estate, if you're a residential real estate broker, you co-broke. It's just how you survive. And so we're trying to build on that here in New England. And so there's more to come about that. All right, next. Okay, also, along with that NEBBA Plus is an enhanced NEBBA Plus website. So in other words, if you've seen the BBANE website, it's not that good. And it works, but it's not designed very well. So we're going to have a beautiful new design for the NEBBA Plus website, and it's going to be a far better experience than you're seeing right now. That's the goal, and I'm sure it will be the result. All right. I just want to quickly mention our website sponsors, and that is Lou Pereira. Number one, he's also a NEBBA board member, and his company is Merrimack Business Appraisers. Also on the call today, I see Beth Che. Hello, Beth. And Beth is Vice President of SBA Lending at Atlantic Capital Bank. We also have Jennifer McKay. I didn't see Jennifer, but maybe she's out there. She's Vice President at TD Bank. So TD Bank is a sponsor. And then we have Eric Sigmund. I don't think he's on the call today, but he's a board member of NEBBA. He's an M&A attorney and very helpful to us, by the way, on NEBBA. And his company is Roberto, Israel, and Weiner. And that, by the way, that's the law firm that helped me sell my computer company in 1999. All right, anyway, moving along, we also have Steve Sanders, who's Commercial Business Development Manager for Wells Fargo. Jonathan Smith, he's on the call today. He's Vice President and Senior Loan Officer for Live Oak Bank. We have Jordan Richmond. I didn't see him on the call, but he's the National SBA Business Development Officer for Fidelity Bank. And finally, Justin Grawley, who is on the call. His company is Coastal Machinery Equipment Appraisers. Hello, Justin, thank you for that. Okay, and then I want to announce our next meeting, which is going to be December 8th. It's always this, we try to make it the second Wednesday of the month. Sometimes we deviate, but for the most part, it's the second Wednesday of the month. And the next meeting is December 8th, which is the second Wednesday of the month. And I think we're going to have a meeting about co-brokerage. We're going to be talking more about NEBBA Plus. That's the plan right now. It's subject to change, but that's what we're saying it's going to be. Okay, and without further ado, we're going to introduce our speaker, who is Larry Carnell. And let me just say that Larry's going to talk to you about a really important thing about how you can, a buyer can put a business like into a Roth IRA, and he's going to tell you all about that. And if you have questions, by the way, one thing you can do is you can put your questions into the chat. But I'm sure, though, that Larry will open it up to questions at the end. But it's also efficient if you write the questions into a chat, but there's no obligation to do it that way. And I guess that's pretty much all I have. And Larry Carnell, let me just tell you about him a little bit. He's a former CBI, so that means certified business broker, and IBBA trainer and speaker. He has personally owned several businesses and is the former Entrepreneur of the Year and award-winning franchise expert. He's recognized as a pioneer and first introduced ROBS, that's buying the business through your retirement account, and the innovative wrap, which we're going to be hearing about. And his background is in accounting, finance, and economics. People often refer to him as Dr. Robs or Mr. Wrap. Quote, he says, "It's not how much wealth you create, it's how much you keep." Okay, and so without further ado, Larry Carnell, take it away.
Thank you so much, Peter. Peter and I have known each other, I think, over a decade. In fact, he invited me to one of the first NEBBA meetings many years ago. I think that was probably close to 12, 15 years ago.
Long time ago.
But much of what I've done is lecture across the country on business structures, tax strategies, exit strategies. In this new economy, to be quite direct, it's not how much wealth we accumulate in life, it's how much we keep. There's two major issues that are going to impact every business owner and every family in the country. One are taxes. The other is erosion of wealth due to healthcare. Bankruptcy due to healthcare has exploded. It's become the fastest growing erosion of wealth in the history of this country. In the 1990s, there was a change in healthcare reimbursement when the insurance industries realized that people were surviving these life-threatening illnesses, often getting to the hospital but recovering. At one point, if we had a heart attack or an auto accident, we would go into the hospital not only to stabilize, but we'd be there sometimes for weeks or months recovering. All of that cost was covered by hospitalization insurance. That is no longer the case. Now, as soon as you wake up, as soon as you set up, the hospital industry has been bribed by insurance companies to discharge you as soon as you stabilize. So they then send you home under a care of a nurse or home care. That's the reason we've seen the explosion of home health care providers in the past 20 years, and it's accelerating. The American Journal of Public Health just issued a nationwide federal alert warning to Congress about what's happening to bankruptcy due to out-of-pocket healthcare expenses. What was once 20-some-odd% has jumped to 67% of all bankruptcies in the country are now due to healthcare related issues. Now, it's not an issue when we're in our 40s and 50s, but when we move into retirement, we spend more money the last 3 years of our lives than we spend the entire 70+ years of our lives combined. The problem is it's often leaving the surviving spouse destitute. So it's not enough just to have a lot of wealth. We want to make sure that wealth is there for the surviving spouse, and hopefully that we leave an inheritance for our children. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to use these programs, specifically two programs, the ROBD and the RAP, in this new economy, how it can instantly engage clients. To be quite direct, our biggest obstacle is not managing or not providing funding. Our biggest obstacle is managing the fear and anxiety of becoming a business owner. And so the ROBD program has been around since 1982. Lynn Fisher was an ERISA attorney who discovered this acquisition resource back in the early 1980s. My claim to fame, I was in the franchise industry, I'd been a business broker, and I saw how this program would help people acquire businesses. I approached Lynn. He was doing it for people with existing businesses. Some of us are old enough to remember when interest rates were 16 to 20%. Back in the early 1980s, people were having a hard time raising capital, and he illustrated to existing business owners how to use their retirement funds to do that. In the 1990s, I came along, heard him speaking on the subject matter, suggested it would be better as an acquisition tool. And he thought that was innovative, invited me out to what I thought was going to be a 2-hour dinner turned into a 4-hour meeting and a job offer. And I said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, but I'd like to continue to speak on the subject matter for people that were acquiring businesses. Lo and behold, the franchise industry asked me to speak on the subject matter, and it exploded in popularity. I then joined the company back around 2005 as their vice president of development. Literally in less than 2 years, we tripled the revenue of the company. Now, the ROBS program is the first generation product. It was the product that allowed people to use their retirement funds pre-tax to buy a business. I often refer to it as the rotary phone of the industry. But there's a new product called the RAP that we're going to spend more time talking about today. Folks, this is a game changer. This program is called the RAP, or Roth Advantage Plan. This creates a Roth vehicle that allows a person to use cash or retirement funds, requires no retirement funds. They can, if they've got $10,000 in cash, they can use this program. Now, the benefit for this program, it creates a Roth investment that directly attacks everything politicians and the economy is trying to do to business owners. This will avoid capital gains tax, income tax when the business is sold, and create a vehicle that will protect your wealth beyond the grave, providing up to double the net inheritance for the spouse and children. More importantly, we're going to show you how to reduce their income tax literally by as much as 40+%. In the new economy, the things that we're dealing with are rising taxes for things like capital gains, income tax, payroll tax, and the caps on payroll taxes have exploded. I'm old enough to remember when payroll taxes used to be 1 to 2%. We paid payroll tax only on the first $5,000 of income. Everything else was free. But thanks to Jimmy Carter from my state of Georgia, they moved the entire Social Security Medicare trust into the general fund, and politicians, they call it borrowing, but folks, it's been stealing. They've been stealing our Social Security and our Medicare benefits for decades. That's the reason the system's pretty much insolvent. And the reason they've had to increase payroll taxes from 1 to 2% up to 15.3%, and they've increased the cap from 5,000, just increased the latest round up to $147,000. It keeps growing at a faster pace than inflation. But the scary part is they've also now removed the cap on Medicare. Medicare, even if you're capped out your income, you're going to pay Medicare for the rest of your life. And that is growing at 5 times the rate of inflation. So again, using tax strategies, wealth protection strategies are going to become very important in this new economy. The other thing that's happening is ageism. I used to be and still periodically lecture for Right Management. For those who are not familiar with Right Management, they're the world's largest outplacement firm. 10 years prior to COVID, 40% of my audience were people in their mid-40s or older. Now, right before COVID, it was 85%. Because of the cost of healthcare, businesses are targeting people past their mid-40s at a significantly higher rate. And as long as they pay you a severance, we have no recourse for ageism. But this is going to continue, and if you haven't already seen it, you will see it. As we progress in age, due to technology and the ability to outsource resources, they don't need people that have wisdom and work ethic, it seems. And the result of that is the peak income for men has dropped from 57 years of age to 48 years of age. And the peak income for women is at 39 years of age, according to payscale.com. So we see this continuing to move in that direction. So in my opinion, the only way to have long-term security is through business ownership. Ironically, much of my discussions are not about funding. It's about how you need to become a business owner to build long-term security in this age where there is no security for people past their mid-40s. And I wrote an article, several of your colleagues have passed it around to people that are still interviewing for jobs, illustrating why they need to become a business owner in this new economy. The other issue, as I mentioned, is the erosion of wealth and bankruptcy. Folks, this is exploding. This is growing at an incredible pace. And the problem is, in America, the average husband is 2 years older than the wife, but women outlive men by additional 5 years. So there's a 7-year differential between the passing of the husband and the passing of the wife. But we spend more money the last 3 years of our lives in our late 70s than we do the entire previous 70+ years of our lives combined. The problem is, as we learned the hard way with my father-in-law, he had a life-threatening illness, was told he had 6 to 8 more months to live. They sent him home under care of a live-in nurse because they thought he was only going to live for 6 to 8 years. They had a live-in nurse. That cost them over $500,000. But the age of technology, medical improvements, and home care kept him alive for 2 years. But that cost literally decimated decades of savings and left mom bankrupt. 2.5 years later, she ended up in an assisted care facility with dementia. Dementia is not a physical illness, it's a mental illness, and she survived in a long-term care facility for 6.5 years, but she was bankrupt. The good news is she had 4 kids. 2 of us had the resources to keep mom in a nice facility. It was $6,000 a month, but it would have literally, most people are heading toward bankruptcy. Most families are not even prepared for the hundreds of thousands of dollars it's going to cost to care for our parents. And in that situation, there's a high risk that they're going to be a burden on their children. We're going to show you how to not only protect that wealth, but have twice the net worth to help pay for these expenses. So the question is, why do a ROBS or RAP? The simple answer, it helps create engagement. It increases the motivation, and more importantly, you can use retirement funds to leverage them into bigger, better deals. The very first ROBS deal ever done in the country was one of my clients in an SBA loan. They were looking at buying a $300,000 business, which was quite a bit of money back in the 1990s. But he said, there's not enough money in it, I'll go back to corporate America. We took his retirement funds, leveraged him into a $1.3 million business. That was much more attractive to the business broker, to the lender, and to the client. So it turned somebody that wasn't interested in buying a business to becoming a buyer. And the problem is we have a lot of looky-loos that never move forward with the process. It's not because they're not interested, it's because they're not motivated, and they don't think they have the ability to buy the type of business they really think their time is worth. The other challenge, as Jonathan and some of the people lenders can tell you, our biggest problem today is we have an entitlement society. We gotta have it now. We don't have people that save like they used to have. People don't have money in their savings account. Well, their savings account is their retirement funds. So this program allows you to access their retirement funds, leverage that ability to go out and buy a bigger, better business. And there's some other advantages we'll talk about as well. But again, our biggest challenge is not funding. It's managing fear and anxiety and illustrating literally how can we increase the desire to buy a business. With limited liquid capital and monthly expenses often averaging around $5,000, they also, another problem to get deals done is they've got to have enough post-close liquidity to be able to buy that business, maintain their standard of living while the business is getting off the ground. So what we try to do is show them how to use ROBS or RAP as a better alternative to going out and getting a job, showing them how business ownership is a much better long-term security than relying on the insecurity of the JOB. The other appeal is this will help you get deals approved that normally could not be approved. They can literally use their retirement funds under federal regulations. We are the company that the SBA went to formally, back in I think 2007, to formally write the standard operating procedures to allow this to be done. This can also help with debt ratios, post-close liquidity, and help them leverage bigger deals. The other benefit for this, especially for people that are looking to have the opportunity to work with these clients again, they can use part of their retirement funds today to buy that one business, but now they can use part of their other retirement funds to go out and buy another business, leverage another loan, or do other types of things. So this will help you not just sell one deal, but sell multiple deals. Now, I'm going to recap how this process works. Many of you have had retirement funds in the past. Retirement funds are simply you're buying the securities or stocks of other companies, either alone or in mutual funds. In order to do this, you first have to establish a corporation with a customized retirement plan. Now, there's many players that are doing basic ROBS, but virtually all of them are using a simple 401k hybrid product. Folks, never put your people into that mousetrap. Many of you know Bart Barcy. Bart Barcy and I wrote a white paper several years ago about what's referred to now as the 401k mousetrap. 401ks were very popular when we were only paying 1 or 2% payroll tax. But now we're paying up to 15% and more payroll tax. They're trying to increase it up to 23%. I think they're going to have no other choice because with the tidal wave of senior citizens about to hit the retirement age and those people then entering a point in their life where they're going to have major healthcare expenses, I believe that we haven't even touched the crest of the wave right now with baby boomers. And when that happens, they're going to have to increase taxes. The incredible thing about what we do is we're not a finance company. We're actually the only full service design firm that virtually eliminates the risk of what's called the 401k mousetrap or tax trap. These are programs that allow you access to your retirement funds, but when you take the money, then the trap springs on you. Once you start generating a six-figure income, you have the risk of double taxation. You have the risk of paying tens of thousands of dollars in payroll taxes every time you make contributions. We design customized programs that are exempt from payroll tax. And rather than being limited to 19 to 20 some odd $1,000, we can show the client how to build wealth in federally protected accounts up to hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, 100% exempt from payroll tax. Folks, these are programs 95% of Americans don't have access to. These are programs, to be quite direct, our crooked politicians have put in place to pad their wallets, protect their families, and reward their campaign donors. It is absolutely discriminatory what they're doing, but as long as it's legal as a business owner, I'm going to take advantage of it. And we're going to show you how to do that. So once that new company plan is created, we then transfer or roll your retirement funds over into this new plan. Some of you have done that in the past when you've changed employment from one company to another. You may have gone to work for a company where you could literally buy stock in your own company. If you work for Microsoft or some of these companies, you can literally take part of your paycheck and buy stock in your own company. Folks, you've done a Roth before if you've done that. We're doing the exact same thing. Instead of investing in the volatility of the stock market, you're taking that money, buying stock in your own company. That money now ends up in the checking account of your corporation. The corporation in return gives money back to the, gives stock back to the company or back to your retirement plan. The corporation now has that money in the checking account to use for any legitimate business expense, furniture, fixture, expansion needs, and also to count as a down payment for an SBA loan. Now, traditional SBA funding, you know, the borrower wants you to come in with cash, typically 10 to 30% equity injection. We fast forward, let's say we sell the business. The owner pays capital gains tax on 100% of that gain. The problem is capital gains taxes, Biden tried to double them. It looks like he's going to end up increasing them 25% from 20 to 25%. But I believe that's the tip of the iceberg. I believe as politicians cater more toward the lower pay scale employee, that there's going to be efforts to try to tax businesses more. That's not good news if you're buying a business that will appreciate in value. The other problem is once you pay those capital gains tax of 25% plus, that money then is considered an personal asset. That money is going to go into an unprotected checking or savings account. When that happens, folks, you painted a giant red target on your back for future creditors. Conversely, we're going to show you how to do something differently. Now, with this program, the first generation product is called the ROBS. This program uses pre-tax retirement funds. So you buy stock in your company. As the value of that company grows, the money goes back into the retirement plan. You avoid the capital gains tax, but you have to pay the income tax on all that growth sometime in the future. Because IRAs and 401ks are the last major bucket of money that politicians can go after, my concern is that the taxes on that are going to generally be increased, and they're already doing it through taking away Social Security, disability payments, and doubling Medicare premiums for people that have money in traditional IRAs. So we're going to talk about how to solve that issue. Again, not how much wealth you accumulate, it's how much you keep, especially in retirement. There's a variety of sneaky ways the government's coming after all this money you put into a retirement plan, and I'm going to reveal that to many people that have never heard these things. But again, when that money comes out of the retirement plan, you have to start paying taxes on that money. The problem is traditional retirement plans, You're only allowed to defer those taxes to your 72 years of age. At that point, they force you to take that money out in what's called required minimum distributions at whatever those future tax rates are. Now I'm going to talk about this RAP program. People refer to it as a Rainmaker. I refer to it as the Roth Advantage Plan to help people delineate between the two. Now, this is a second generation product. This is the difference between the rotary phone and the smartphone. This program is literally preferred 4-to-1 over the ROBS. It's exclusive to Benetrends. Nobody in the country has this product. CPAs love it 10-to-1 over the ROBS. It has many of the benefits that the ROBS has. It has wealth protection, payroll tax benefits, plus several other advantages. But it goes beyond much of these benefits. One benefit is that this program requires no retirement funds. If you got $10,000 in cash, and to be quite direct, we're not talking to somebody if they don't, you can do a wrap. Literally every single deal you have now, you can do this program. With this program, they invest a minimum of $10,000 in cash or retirement funds post-tax to buy all the common stock in the company. Any additional cash that they would need, they use that to buy preferred stock. Now, there's a reason that we do that. Under SBA guidelines, common and preferred stock can count toward equity injection. This allows a person to minimize the amount of retirement funds they have. In the past, a lot of people had reservations about using retirement funds. This is an ideal way to address that. Now, here's where it gets quite a bit different. When the business is sold, all the gain is 100% capital gain and income tax free. Here's what I really like about the program. Roth retirement funds are never subject to required minimum distributions. If you live to be 100 years of age, that wealth is protected for your surviving spouse. Traditional IRAs are only protected to your 72. My concern is that's at the decade of your life where you're at 10 times greater risk of having major out-of-pocket healthcare expenses. So with traditional IRAs, you've literally painted a giant red target on your back at a point in your life where you're at a greater risk of having these major personal liability risks. But it doesn't have to be healthcare. It could be an auto accident. I had a client whose spouse hit a pedestrian. The judgment was for $2.3 million. They had $500,000 in liability insurance, but the other $1.8 million came from the seizure of their home, their savings, and garnishment of their wages. This program would have protected their entire business and the income coming out of it. So this is much more, again, than just a way to fund a business. It's a way to build protected wealth. And traditional IRAs are taxable to children. Why is that so important? According to payscale.com, children peak their income in their late, and that's typically the time when parents start to pass away. So if they inherit $1 million from their parents in a traditional IRA or 401k, and the kids are at their peak income, they've literally pushed their kids into the highest tax bracket. They could lose half of their inheritance. Conversely, with this program, the children end up with as much as twice the net inheritance for the spouse and children. That's a game changer. That is an engagement tool. That's the whole thing. We have a lot of people that come to us that are looky-loos. They're interested, but they're not engaged. Psychologically, I used to be a trainer for a Fortune 500 company. I lectured on the psychology of consumerism. Men and women, while we want to have equal rights, we have different cultural aspects of our personality. Men, for example, consider ourselves the bodyguards of the family. Now, we may not be the big bodyguard that we were in our 40s, but we are the financial bodyguards. When a husband realizes there's a way to protect his family beyond the grave, the bodyguard trigger, emotional trigger can set in and create motivation for him to see the benefits of becoming a business owner with this structure. This helps him understand why he needs to become a business owner. Women, no disrespect to any women, tend to be oftentimes nesters. They're protectors, they're more reserved. They want the protection. When they understand that this structure can help protect their wealth beyond the grave, if something happens to their spouse, that their welfare, their standard of living can be maintained, it motivates them to consider this program. But let's recap what the differences are. First of all, the Roth program, the sales proceeds are taxed as income. It's subject to future tax rates increases, and kids' inheritance is often taxed at their peak tax rates, and there's required minimum distributions at 72, so there's no long-term wealth protection. And it's less favorable to CPAs and attorneys. Conversely, the RAP is a Roth retirement plan that grows tax-free. Right now is a good time to convert retirement funds to Roth vehicles because we have the lowest tax rates we've had in decades. That may change in the future. Most people expect tax rates to increase, and the kids and the spouse end up with as much as twice the net inheritance. Again, there's never any long-term required minimum distributions, and this provides superior wealth protection for the spouse and kids. Now, this is a point many of you are not aware of, but if you try to retire early or you're disabled, any money that comes out of a traditional IRA or 401k can be used as a calculus to take away Social Security or disability benefits. For every $2 you take out of retirement, they can take away $1 in your benefits and disability. That's a 50% penalty on top of paying the taxes on that money. And when you reach 65, Medicare used to be free. They told us for decades when we were paying into the system that it would be free. They're now charging us for what they said would be free. What started out to be $50 a month can be well over $1,000, close to $2,000. But once you start taking money out of your retirement plans are considered income under traditional IRAs and 401ks, and they can double your Medicare premiums. Here's what's scary. Last year, they gave our senior citizens a whopping 1.3% increase in Social Security benefits, but they increased their Medicare premiums 7%. It's literally growing at more than 5 times the rate of inflation. So for many of your clients that may be in their 40s or 50s, by the time they get to retirement, it's going to be much higher. If they're taking money out of traditional IRAs, they can have those premiums doubled. They can have early retirement or disability benefits taken away from them. But listen carefully, Roth retirement plans under federal regulations cannot be used as a calculus to take away your benefits, your disability benefits, or double your Medicare premiums. 99% of Americans aren't aware of that. But with this program, it cannot negatively impact it. That's another reason I've told every one of my kids, do not leave money in a traditional IRA or 401k. Move it directly into a Roth as quickly as possible. Now, the other thing is it's very appealing to CPAs and attorneys. Attorneys and CPAs prefer this 10-to-1 over the Roth program. But I want to illustrate how this works in real life. Let's assume a person's buying a business for $300,000. They're looking to build wealth, mitigate taxes. They have retirement funds, but they may also not have retirement funds or desire not to use retirement funds, but have a minimum of $10,000. So assuming a 30% cash injection, could be much less, but it's usually a maximum of 30%. We create the Rainmaker plan with a minimum of $10,000 in cash or retirement funds. We use that money to buy all the common stock in the company. The other money they need for the down payment, they can bring from cash or a gift from their parents or something else. That we issue preferred stock. We then borrow the rest of the money. Now they have the $300,000 to buy the business. Fast forward, sell the business for $1 million, $700,000 gain. The preferred stock, which was issued at $80,000, we reimburse them for that and no gain, therefore there's no taxation on that stock. The remaining $920,000, we push all the gain onto the common stock, which is in a Roth retirement plan that grows tax-free. And there's no required minimum distributions. It's forever protected. Not only the sale price is not subject to taxation, but that money will continue to grow for the rest of their life in a Roth protected vehicle. Even if the business sold for no gain, that $10,000 now has turned into a value of $300,000 in a protected vehicle. Now, this is where it really gets interesting. It's not just protection in the future and tax savings in the future. It's right now, right every year. Rather than taking money out, putting it into a retirement plan, losing much of the money in forms of taxes, we show them how they can take, let's say they had an extra $50,000 that they want to make a contribution to. With a traditional, if they were to take that money out as income, they'd lose somewhere around 45% in taxes. That's assuming 24% tax bracket, 15% payroll tax, 6% state income tax. So they have a net of $27,000. With the RAP program, they can put that entire amount of money directly into their retirement plan. They pay no payroll tax on the money. The money goes directly into the retirement plan. They now have $50,000. They have as much as 83% more money growing in a retirement plan, and they can also use that money to springboard into another business. So rather than having $23,000 to use toward the growth, they now have $50,000 they can reinvest to help go buy another business or buy the land and building with the money they have. Now let's make it even more interesting. Let's say the business is doing well. Everybody needs a certain amount of money to live on. Let's say they needed $100,000 to live on, but the business is generating $200,000 or $300,000. Now they push themselves into a 24+% tax bracket if they were to take that money out as income. Conversely, what we do is rather than taking the money out as income, losing as much as $45,000, only having $54,000 net proceeds, we take the money out as a dividend. In that situation, they pay a total of 27% based on current tax rates and an average corporate tax rate of 6%. Now it varies in every state. In fact, in many states, corporate taxes are actually lower than income tax. And I can show you how this can be very attractive in certain states. So instead of $54,000, they've got $73,000. They literally have as much as close to 40% more money in their retirement plan. This money then goes into their retirement plan. It's totally tax-free. When dividends are paid to a retirement plan, they're exempt from the 15% dividend tax. Not only that, the money's growing tax-free. If you take it out as income and that $54,000 ends up in a savings account, that's every interest on the savings account is taxable. But this money, not only will they have 40% more money, but that 40% more will be growing tax-free and protected for a lifetime. Again, that money can be used to go back and buy a bigger, better business combined with other contributions. It's just an innovative way to do this. Now, you don't have to be the expert. All you have to do is remember these two questions. Simply just ask the client, would you be interested in a program that forces the government to assume up to 50% of the financial risk of starting a business, or a program that will give you lifelong capital gain tax exemptions up to double the net inheritance and reduce your income tax as much as 40% per year? If they say yes, you can instantly go to my calendar, schedule a call, and I will help them understand how this program works. But there's also a cover story article I can send anybody. Just send me an email to larry@benetrends.com. At the bottom of my email is a link that says schedule a call. And you can, while you have the person on the phone, you can say, well, I happen to know the guy that helped introduce this program to the first business acquisition in the country. He's an award-winning entrepreneur, tax expert. He'll help you understand how this can help you leverage and buy a bigger, better business and protect your wealth beyond the grave for you and your children. But with that being said, I want to open it up to any questions that people have.
Okay. Hello. All right. So, Larry, I'm going to help you out by, because we've got a lot of questions in the chat. Okay.
Okay.
So here we go. So, sorry. First of all, everyone should know I will be sending out, Larry, you're going to be able to send me the slides on this, I assume, correct?
I can do that. No
Yeah,
problem.
and then I'll also, I'll have a video, so I'll send everybody a link to the video of this whole presentation as well as the slides to our whole organization, okay? And so here we go, Rob. So the Sanjay Ahuja is asking for the sales proceeds to go back to the retirement account to eliminate capital gains. Does the sale transaction have to be a stock sale?
Well, ultimately, ideally, we want it to be a stock sale, but even if it's an asset sale, the net proceeds when the company is dissolved go back to the retirement plan.
Okay, thank you. And can the wrap be used to buy just 25 or 49% of a company, or is it only for the whole part of the company?
Yeah, we do that all the time. Oftentimes they're partners. The person that owns the stock, sometimes people own the stock privately, but then their money doesn't grow tax-free. It's only the money in the Roth that grows tax-free. Sometimes we have partners that have no retirement funds. They just buy the stock. Now that's a personal stock, like capital gains, like any other thing that you'd have in a regular stock portfolio.
Okay, thanks. Now, can an established C-Corp, S-Corp, or partnership LLC move that business into a wrap strategy for existing companies?
Perfect question. Here's a scenario. Let's say this same business was bought for $300,000. It now has increased to $500,000, and they think the business is going to be worth $2 million. That's a time where wrap makes sense. But here's the problem. If you convert a business after you buy it, after 3 months, you have to have a new appraisal done. So if the business has increased in value $200,000, you're going to have a $40,000 tax bill. Now that makes sense to do that. If that business ends up being worth $2 to $3 million, you're going to save hundreds of thousands of dollars. But it doesn't make sense unless the value of the business is going to appreciate.
Okay, so it just depends on the business and what they think is going to happen in the future.
Yeah, but I've got a lot of people that we've done ROBs for decades. They're flooding to us. They're hearing about this. In fact, we're not even telling our clients because the volume of business would swamp our team. We're not even telling a lot of our existing clients that they can convert their existing businesses to wraps.
Okay.
Not because we don't think it's better for them. It's just that we can't handle the volume of thousands of people coming to us overnight wanting to convert their businesses.
Okay. Here's my question. We've got more here on the list, but are there any legal challenges to this? In other words, this seems like it's almost like it's too good to be true, right? Everybody starts doing this. How can Congress allow this to continue?
Well, this is what's so incredible. This program has been in existence for 40 plus years. The wrap has only been around since they invented the Roth Advantage Plan in 1997. But we've had hundreds of these go through routine audits. They've been challenges. Here's the dilemma that the government faces right now. We have hundreds of thousands of businesses that have been shut down, tens of millions of people unemployed. They know that this is one of the best ways to create businesses. And they have literally come back effective immediately with the Secure Act. They passed legislation that allows 100% of this setup cost and the ongoing administration fees to qualify for tax deductions and a tenfold increase in tax credits. They need this program to get people to start businesses, to put millions of people back to work. And virtually every Democrat, every Republican needs jobs. So we don't see them killing the golden goose.
Okay. All right, next one. Sorry, in your example with taxes in which the wrap structure is taxed, $27,000 on dividends, is there a regular corporate tax on the C-Corp's net income?
Yeah, here's what in this situation, let's say you have $100,000 retained earnings. You have to pay corporate tax of 21%, and the average state corporate tax is 6%. So it's 27%. Normally you have to pay 15% dividend tax to the stockholders. However, since the stockholders are retirement plans are exempted from dividend tax. So you only pay 27% versus 40-some odd percent.
Okay. And how does this work for people doing Medicare nursing home planning? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but go ahead.
Well, the key issue there is understand, even with Medicare, there are certain premiums that you have to pay, certain deductibles, things you have to pay. The challenge is most corporate structures, you can't run a lot of personal expenses through your LLC or S-Corp. But C-Corps, you can run life insurance, disability, long-term care, healthcare deductibles directly through the revenue of the company, giving you as much as 65% greater buying power. So it just makes your dollar stretch a lot further. Rather than taking it out post-tax and using post-tax dollars to pay for all these out-of-pocket expenses, you do them pre-tax. It's just a much better way to do it.
Okay. And what is the cost of setting up the wrap, and then what is the ongoing expense year to year?
Great question. The ROBS is basically $5,000. The wrap is $1,000 more expensive, but the net cost is virtually zero. We include all the legal, administrative, state filing fees to incorporate. There's no added CPA or attorney fees. We obtain the EIN number. We also include the minutes, the bylaws, the issuance of stock, the management of the stock transaction. So there's no attorney fees involved. Now, when you invest in the stock of your own company, you have to have an independent third-party appraisal. That can cost up to $2,500. We include that in the cost of the program. When it's all said and done, it fully qualifies for tax deductions, but you now have 2 customized retirement plans with the wrap. You have a defined contribution plan that will exempt you from ever paying payroll tax, saving you over 15% per year, not on just $19,000, but all the way up to hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. And the ongoing fee, all retirement plans require annual reports, record keeping, advisory services, and an annual fair market valuation. In the past, you worked for a company that had a 401k, they would hire a third-party administrator to file all those reports. We do that for our clients for $175 a month, but that cost is offset by the fact that we also qualify for a 10-fold increase in tax credits. Plus, we have a national network of service providers that give discounts on things like commercial insurance, liability insurance, workman's comp, payroll, HR. And even if they buy a franchise, they even get free recruitment services. I've always felt, where does the rubber meet the road? I believe this says more than anything. Our retention rate, even though, and by the way, nobody's required to be a C-Corp forever. If the laws change where it's not attractive, you can always convert back to an S-Corp. But 99% of our clients stay with us for the life of their business. If they ever find somebody cheaper, they can sever that relationship, walk away and owe us nothing. The fact that 99% of people stay with us for the life of their business, pretty good indication of value. That's backed up with an A+ 5-star service rating and an incredible 4.8 out of 5.0 Google review rating.
All right, great. And what if the owners started the business but didn't purchase it? In other words, you don't have to buy a business to do this. You can just simply start a new business with this, right?
Yeah, just be aware if he started the business and he tries to convert it, there can be capital gains on the value of the business from start to current time.
Got it. And if you don't use a 401k plan structure, is the alternative to create a defined benefit plan? If that is the case, does this structure only work for a small business owner with no employees?
No, this works for any type of business. We do defined contribution plan, profit sharing plan. We can add a 401k feature and we add those at no charge, but I'm not a big advocate of 401ks because it robs both the business owner and the employee from money that they could put in their pocket. I can actually show people rather than allowing them to do deductions, give them a contribution. You know, let's say you got an employee that's been there for a couple of years. First of all, they got to be there a couple of years before they would even qualify. Let's say with the current labor market, you're going to have to give them a 10% raise to keep them. If you were to give them a 10% raise, you'd increase your operating expenses. They would increase their expenses. They'd have to be paying payroll tax. Instead, let's say give them 5% raise and a 5% contribution. The contribution, you're exempt from payroll tax, they're exempt from payroll tax. You both save money, but you've created a retention tool. They've got to stay with you a total of 6 years to be fully vested.
Okay,
So it's a great way to recruit and retain better employees.
all right, good. And okay, that's the end of the chat questions. Any other questions before we end the meeting? A lot of good questions, definitely. This is clearly a very interesting thing. Okay, Larry, I just want to thank you very much for speaking to us today. And you're a very good speaker, and I think you did a very good job of explaining the program. Appreciate it.
Well, if you make enough mistakes, they call you an expert.
Okay, and finally, I just wanted to say, everyone, don't forget to attend our next meeting, December 8th at 11 a.m. You'll be getting information on that. We haven't completely confirmed the topic, but I'm sure it's going to be a good one. And thank you all, and have a good rest of your day.
And for the lenders, if you want to do a training session for your team, send me an email. I'll send you a link to my calendar, and we can do a Zoom call for your team.
Okay, got it.
And any brokers that have other brokers in their office, if they'd like to do that as well, happy to do it.
Very good. Okay. Thank you
Take
all
care.
very much.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Peter. Bye.
Okay, bye.